Good morning. It is Scott Cullen here. I'm the editor-in-chief of the Cannata Report. It is great to be with you on another Friday morning for the most recent episode of Fridays with Frank. Before I bring out Frank, don't forget, like, subscribe, comment, send Frank your questions. And now, please welcome Frank Cannata. Hey, Frank, how's it going today? What's on your mind?
Well, it's we're going to kind of follow up something that we said with our last session, because we had not just one, and that was the one that we talked about the price competitiveness and how that's affecting the business, A3, A4 type of situation. And I think we addressed it as honestly and as fairly as we could. But the initial time I tried to be positive and it was nonsense. So forgive me for that. I just try to be positive, but it really isn't a positive situation. This next situation, which was the following week, was really, it just kind of threw me because it said, how do we get back to a protected territory situation? The dealer didn't say it that way, but basically he said protected territory, and they can't get a straight answer from a manufacturer. Well, I guess they don't have anything positive to respond, I guess. I can't speak for who the manufacturer was, and what they were saying wasn't shared with us. So let's just look at it the way we tried to look at the other question, that we had the same situation where we felt that wasn't the right way to handle it by trying to be positive. And so we're going to take that same route. We're just going to give it to you the way we see it. Now, what you have to look at is the pandemic not only hurt dealers and other vendors, but the manufacturers very hard. I mean, you take any area, when you think about a company that is in Japan or China or the Philippines or wherever, and the things that they had to go through to get product in this country were unbelievable in terms of increased costs. You can't make that up overnight. So now all the American companies, now never forget that the companies representing international organizations, the US operation is a branch. It's a sales office. That's their function. They're not getting into R&D. I'm sure they're invited back to Japan or wherever, or when they have marketing, a collection of marketing executives from around the world to give their input on what we should be paying attention to. And they contribute, I'm sure, in those types of environments. Bottom line, those decisions are made in Japan, mostly. So we have a situation now where the Japanese are trying to recover from what they experienced, and they got a product to sell. Now, they're not going to limit distribution. They're going to make every effort to increase distribution. So what does that mean? It means put more dealers on. And if you're in a situation where you have a protective territory, my only recommendation is you contact the manufacturer and have a sit down with them and lay it out all on the line, saying, here's what we're looking at. You want me to sell more of your product? I want to sell more of my product. Let's come up with something that we can both live with and achieve something good for the both of us. Now, how do we go about doing that? Well, we go about, number one, singling out specific products that are probably your primary sellers in the line, assuming that you have multiple. The average dealer has 2 product lines that handle A3 or A4. So you have two manufacturers that you can relate to in terms of what are the best selling products of the two, and say, give me exclusivity in this product in my territory. And the other one, you go ahead and open up, and then run like hell with the one that you sell the most of to begin with. I don't know of any other way you can do it. And last week, when we talked about the situation, we recommended that you talk to Bob Goldberg. I'd say do the same thing here. I hope Bob doesn't mind my recommending people call him. I better let him know he's going to get some calls and what it's about. But just think of all the contracts that Bob has negotiated with manufacturers to protect dealers. And maybe you should have a conversation with him first. Pick out the key machines and say, Bob, how do we go about getting exclusivity with these products? What kind of contract can you come up with for these people? First of all, if Bob is able to do it and also willing to do it, because I know he said he wasn't quitting, but the word is he wants to slow down. And maybe I'm putting words in his mouth, and if I am, forgive me. But Bob, my fundamental belief, if you'll ask Bob a question like that, you'll get an answer, you'll get a straight answer, and you'll get it quickly. I'm assuming that would be something he could easily handle because of all the experience that he's had for more years than we can count. I think that plain and simple is the most direct and honest way to do it. Because if you tell a manufacturer or ask a manufacturer to do it, you got to say, what is it you're looking for to come out of the territory that I have? He's going to give you a number you're going to choke on. And he's not going to be playing games with you, because that's what his bosses have told him he or she has got to do. It's that simple. They're not making this up as they go along. And then obviously do your typical selling job as to what you're prepared to commit to get that done, or the investments that you're making to improve the productivity of your business so that your salespeople sell more. There's a lot of things going on in the industry that are designed, like AI, for instance, to increase productivity. And let them know, if you're going that route, say, we're making the investment. And that investment, is plain and simple, is to increase productivity. Because the one thing they can't complain about is the reduction in the number of servicemen that they need in the business compared to what it used to be. I recall recently having a conversation with a dealer, and due to the pandemic, he went from 50 to 18 service technicians. He had no choice. And he said he hated like hell to do it, but he just felt we can't do it. Well, it turns out those 18 did a pretty good job. And he was so pleased and so relieved. And then obviously he sat down with his number one guy in service and said, that's great. How are they doing it? Well, look at the reliability, how much it's improved. And that's true. The reliability of the product has increased. Now, can you do that in every situation? I don't honestly know. But it stands to reason, if somebody did it to that extent, it can be done. More than that, I don't know what else there is to do in terms of that type of situation. And again, I'll say what we said in our last session. It's all about diversification. If you're trying to reach that plateau or that area that you're looking for, that gives you that same gross revenue, or the same net revenue, I should say, not gross, same net revenue and profitability. And profitability, we both know, or all know, That's the key word. But bear in mind, most of the major corporations when I say corporations, I'm talking about mega dealers. We talk to, profitability is a question, is an issue. When they want to get candid with you, and they do, I'm not going to mention names, they'll tell you candidly, that's an area that is becoming a problem. We have to do something about it. So come up with the answer for them. And I think you'll have the means of having a discussion to perhaps alleviate the and give you some degree of it. I can't say independence, but being able to dedicate certain products as being exclusively yours in a territory. That's my answer.